Chiefs go west to take on Randy Moss and the Raiders on ESPN and ESPN HD.
Chiefs look good today against the Jets.
Just one of the shockers we had today. Wright throws another completion to Mark Clayton. Let's get an update on Kyle Bowler. Here's Susie.
Well, Mike, the good news is it's not as dire as it appeared. Bowler sacked hard by Larry Triplett, taken down to the ground. They were working on his leg, carried off, x-rays taken on his right foot. The picture showed a hyperextended right big toe, out for the game, but he'll be reevaluated.
All right, Susie, thanks very much. Here's Jamal Lewis out to the 28-yard line. And, of course, the speculation, particularly in Baltimore, will start immediately. You know, you take a look at what Anthony Wright has done tonight, and a lot of the writers here, a lot of the talk radio people are going to go, this is the guy who ought to be playing quarterback for the Ravens.
Mike, let me tell you, I hurt my big toe. That is an injury, from my personal experience, that is very difficult because it's your plant foot. And your feet and your legs are so vital in how you throw the football. It'll be a while before Kyle Bowler gets a chance to be able to throw the football and quarterback this team again.
Oh, Wright throws the out, nearly picked off by Strickland, who made a dive for it and had it in his hands.
Boy, Donald Strickland played this thing perfectly, and he just knew it. It's like he was in the huddle and he knew it was coming.
What do you think of the Colts defense? I mean, right now, they're pitching a shutout.
Well, you know, in this game, you think about 3 plays in this game. McAllister's missed interception. It could have been gone. The 5 yards hands to the face by the Ravens defense.
Dale Carter.
Dale Carter. And the clip flag on this play here on the kickoff return, or the punt return.
Missed opportunity.
Yes, indeed.
Right out in the flat. Oh, and boy, the Colts have just covered anything wide. Wilcox has drilled again. Thornton got there as well as Jason David. They built this defense on speed, and they're showing it.
Well, remember, when Tony Dungy was in Tampa Bay, he had certain personalities on the defense. You know, I thought that defense got special when they added a Simeon Rice, even though Tony wasn't there. But that's your Dwight Freeney. Now, all of a sudden, Warren Sapp is really Corey Simon. He's that 3-technique tackle. You get Booger McFarland, and that's when you get Larry Triplett. So this defense is starting to look like what Tony had when he was in Tampa.
Plus, he has a couple of young defensive backs. Marlon Jackson, who was their first-round draft choice. He's a corner. He wasn't able to play tonight because of a shoulder injury. And their second-round draft choice, Kelvin Hayden, who they expect to contribute a lot on special teams this year.
42, defense. That penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
That's Jason David. And what they have done in the last 3 years is they have used a lot of their draft choices on defense. Obviously, the offense doesn't need to be upgraded very much.
Well, they talk about the Colts not having a very good defense. They forgot to tell these guys. They don't believe it. That may be the first mistake they've made on defense tonight. And there's Brock.
He's played pretty well tonight, too.
The whole defensive line has.
Yep.
I mean, you've got 4 guys on that defensive line that have just been attacking. I mean, I always look at them kind of as a run blitz on their way to the quarterback. And they seem to pick up the runners right on the way. So they don't skip a beat.
If they run into one, they tackle them.
Yeah.
Second and 12, 4-man rush. Oh. Mason. Oh, what an addition he is. Been a quality receiver for a long, long time. Derek Mason, since 2003, has 191 catches coming into this game. That's number 2 only to Torrey Holt in the entire NFL.
And what a nice job by Anthony Wright. Watch how he hangs in the pocket. Looks down the field, sets. He's getting pounded as he lets it go, and it's a perfectly thrown ball over the corner in front of the safety.
Out of the shotgun, throws this one behind, and the Ravens want interference as Clayton thought he had position and also thought he was held.
Well, Strickland, number 30, was the guy, and he's getting all kinds of hand slaps now.
He latched on pretty early.
You just all right. Here's the throw. And no, he's there. He puts his arm in and knocks the ball away. This is excellent coverage.
Step for step.
You bet.
And the Ravens continue to try to get there. One of the Colts is hurt, and it looked like it's Strickland as he tried to make the tackle. Wilcox has had a pretty good night at tight end.
Anthony Wright has made some throws where this time Cato June tries to get a hand on it, but it just gets by. I mean, the ball has enough zip on it that the Colt defenders just can't quite get there to knock it down. He's had 3 or 4 of them that have gotten right by the defenders.
One of those guys that always throws a beautiful looking ball, too. Wright zips this one, and it went by Heap and short of Clayton.
I'm going to tell you something, Joseph. If you don't think tomorrow morning there is going to be a quarterback controversy in this town, you're crazy. Well, because here comes Todd Heap now off the line of scrimmage. And Anthony Wright, look at this ball. I mean, this ball is being fired. He didn't have a chance at it, I don't think.
Let me just say, Paul, it's going to be a long time before Kyle Bowler's ready to drop back and throw a football again, I believe, based upon a big toe problem. I mean, Deion Sanders had a toe problem, cost him a year of football. So, I mean, it depends on how severe it is and how bad it is. But I can tell you, if it's the right foot, it becomes a problem trying to throw the football.
Wright sets in the pocket, and that one is dropped by Clayton.
You know, the thing about it is when you talk to Brian Billick and you talk to Fossil and these guys and Ozzie Newsome, they are totally committed to Kyle Bowler. Now, when Bowler's getting ready to come back, I just wonder if Anthony Wright is moving this team and we're winning, you can't change him.
And he probably won't. And don't remember, Brian Billick has gone through a lot of quarterbacks, whether it was in Minnesota or here. He's had a lot of guys line up and play for him. I thought Kyle Bowler played real solid tonight.
Wright intercepted by Brackett. The middle linebacker at the goal line, back across the 20. They love him because of the speed he's showing right there. That's the second pick for the middle linebacker. The Colts defense holds again. They continue to lead by 17.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
المركز الرياضي برنامج يحجز لكم تذكرة شبه يومية إلى المحافل الدولية. بوابة للحوار حول الأحداث والقضايا الرياضية. خدمة إخبارية متميزة تضعكم دائما في الصفوف الأمامية. المركز الرياضي يبث من الاثنين إلى الجمعة مباشرة على الرياضية.
This September, Cinema City brings you a brand new season of silver screen premieres.
Haven't I always taken care of you?
Come on, let's have some kicks. And don't forget about me.
Wednesday nights are loaded with action.
Take your best shot! What?
And jam-packed with the stars to match.
You were the best.
There you go.
You're a heavyweight.
Now we're cool.
Thursdays, you'll be falling down with laughter when you catch some of the funniest men on film.
All right, let's go.
Break your neck! Friday nights, emotions ride high.
This has catastrophe written all over it.
Let's try to keep our eye on the ball, okay?
As top drawer drama captures the stage.
What we're attempting to do here is to check the government's attempt to abridge our civil liberties.
You lie.
Now, what does that sound like to you? A challenge. I ain't challenged nobody.
Premieres galore and a great new season of Just Great Movies this September, only on Cinema City.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
That Colts defensive unit sitting there, and they look like they are very proud of themselves, and rightfully so. They are pitching a shutout. They haven't shut anybody out since December of '97, 114 games ago. Right now, they're on the verge of it. They have played extremely well tonight against the Ravens here in Baltimore.
Ron Meeks, their defensive coordinator, said they wanted to get more physical. They sure have.
Edgerrin James up to about the 33. Let's go to Susan.
Mike, let's dispel the notion that the Colts are obsessed with the Patriots. Tony Dungy told us last night his first rule of thumb, forget about your last game. And that was instilled in him when he was a rookie. He showed up at the Steelers. They had won back-to-back Super Bowls, and nobody wore their rings. Chuck Noll treated them all like rookies. It was the fundamentals of blocking and tackling. His Colts have the same attitude. It's a brand new season.
And you know, Susie, we followed up that conversation last night by pointing out that Bill Belichick has done the same thing. He doesn't believe in going out and defending a title. You're going out and trying to win one the next year. It has nothing to do with the one before, and I think that's the only attitude you can have.
But I'll tell you, Tony Dungy would feel a lot better if they could beat the New England Patriots, okay?
Oh, sure.
I mean, you know, you're afraid. What Tony's afraid of is that his football team becomes focused on just the Patriots, and they forget about everybody in their division. They forget about the Jacksonvilles and the Tennessees and the people they have to play in their division, or the Baltimore Ravens tonight. I mean, every game is important. Like Peyton said, you know, you want to get this first one under your belt, so you have a shot at home field down the road.
I'll tell you, they are not obsessed with the New England Patriots. When you talk to them, they're not. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a bad thing. We are. The media is, but they aren't. They can't be.
And Bill Polian told Paul before tonight's game that they had just given Tony Dungy a new 3-year contract that would take him through, let's see, that would be 2009.
You know, I'll tell you, the happiest guy on this Indianapolis Colts entire football team has got to be Peyton Manning watching that defense. I mean, he's waited a long time.
That's a great point.
I mean, he's been waiting a long time to see have his defense keep giving him the ball back, stopping people, giving him the ball back, giving him opportunities. They didn't take advantage of many in the first half, but they sure did in the second half.
And Indy's offense puts so much pressure on other teams. I mean, they really take other offenses out of what they'd like to do.
Out of the eye, Marvin Harrison, the only wide receiver, using every second on that play clock they can. Here's Edgerrin James. What a wonderful, just absolutely superb all-around running back he is.
When you talk about Jamal Lewis, you don't want to tackle him with one arm because of how big he is. But Edgerrin James is one of those guys that you better put him on the ground. Not only, you know, what Peyton said I thought was really amazing, and repeat something earlier about his blocking. He will stone people blocking. But Ray Lewis said, you talk about the one dimension that the Colts have, it's Edgerrin James. Receiving the ball, running with the ball, blocking. He does everything for this football team.
And it really helps Peyton's play action.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right.
I mean, if you don't have a guy like him, the play action doesn't mean a whole lot. Edgerrin again. Thomas and Demps come through to make the tackle. And he is up there on one list. This is just hard to imagine that anybody is above Jim Brown on anything. But Edgerrin James, yards from scrimmage per game for his career, ahead of the legendary Jim Brown. Of course, Jim Brown owns virtually every other rushing record there is. Rushes per game, yards per carry.
And only played, what, 7 years? 9 years. I mean, didn't play like some guys play for 10, 11, 12 years.
No, walked away, said, I've got other things to do, and has gone on to do them.
I love the Dirty Dozen.
That's one of the things he did. And right now, the Colts, you know, are in a situation where with all the money that they have put into other players with the long-term deal with Peyton Manning, with Marvin Harrison, a couple of other guys, they're going to have to pay Freeney a whole lot of money on the defensive side of the ball. There's only so much money to go around, and Edgerrin James may not be the recipient of one of those huge contracts.
I think he has to be. Reggie Wayne's another one that's in there, the wide receiver. He's getting ready for free agency. And the thing is Edgerrin James is at $8 million. It's the average of the top 5 is the franchise tag. Next year, that goes up 20%. So if they tag him again, it's $10 million. That's an awful lot of money to commit off of your cap to one player without having a chance to spread it out over a 6 or 7 year period. And remember, he's a young guy. You're not talking about a 30-year-old running back.
No, and I think that's why they will either work out a long-term deal so they can spread that money out, or he's going to have to go somewhere else. I don't think they can afford to franchise him.
Well, and you think about what he did in this game. Last year, he gained 36 yards against this team, and it was a struggle. He's carried the ball 22 times tonight for 88 yards, and it may not sound like a whole lot to everybody.
It is against that defense.
But it is against that defense, and he knows it, and they know it.
See, that's the other thing, too, is Indianapolis is going to get a new stadium. So what they're going to wind up with is they're going to wind up with a revenue-producing facility so that they should be able to afford an Edgerrin James and a Dwight Freeney.
Boy, there's another good point, too. End-over-end punt, and the Ravens will take over with only 3:37 left. Goodyear and its associates around the world encourage all of you to help with the relief effort for victims of Hurricane Katrina by contacting the Federal Emergency Management Agency at www.fema.gov. They need your help. So the Ravens with Anthony Wright at quarterback for the injured Kyle Bowler.
Next week we get a chance to see the New Orleans Saints against the New York Giants, who played extremely well today. Tom Coughlin's second year there.
That will be technically a home game for the Saints.
You know, when you think about today's games, and you're talking about throughout the league, about a big defensive day for teams that really were not counted on for defense. The Lions held the Packers to 3 points. They were not considered. The Chiefs held the Jets to 7 points. Blew them, and the Colts are pitching a shutout here, and these are teams that are not known for defense.
Who would have guessed?
Right, it's 05. It's a new year. Right? You can't base anything off of what you saw before.
That's why Tony Dungy says to his team, don't think about last year. Last year has nothing to do with why dwell on what, you know, this team went 0-5 in the preseason. Do they look like an 0-5 team in the preseason? I don't think so.
What did New England and Philadelphia do last year in the preseason? Do you have any idea? Does anybody remember what they did, the two teams that went to the Super Bowl?
Nothing.
They were each 1-3 in the preseason. Didn't seem to hurt them too much.
No, it doesn't. I mean, preseason means, to me, it means nothing. And I think one of the things that's proved this year,
Paul, here's the other
2 games.
Here's the other thing. The first game is so overblown in importance. I mean, there will be people writing tomorrow, the Ravens are written off for the year, you know, because they lost this first game. And here's another pick. And it's Gary Brackett. That's his third.
And this one's for a touchdown.
No, it's Cato June.
Cato June just baited Anthony Wright. He threw the last 2 balls in the middle of the football field, and all Cato June did was read his eyes. Just slides right over. And so you could say now he's Derek Brooks. So what Tony Dungy is getting is he's starting to get the blueprint of the players that had the abilities that he had when they were in Tampa Bay.
227-pound outside linebacker. Thornton on the other side is 230. Brackett in the middle is 235. So this is a very small, by today's standards, set of linebackers.
But quick. And
extremely.
Again, it fits the mold of what Tony Dungy wants on his defensive team, and Ron Mix, their defensive coordinator.
Isn't it amazing when you play a team, when you walk into their stadium, now the Baltimore Ravens, and everybody in this business talks about their defense, how good they are, and they totally ignore the Indianapolis Colts defense, and all you hear about is Peyton Manning and Edgerrin James and Marvin Harrison, right?
Sure.
So this defense, I mean, you take a look at this defense and what they've done tonight. I mean, they are so good. That was Harper tipping the ball. This is Freeney sacking the quarterback. Watch this hit. Hello. And then here is where they hurt Kyle Bowler, the triplet, and then the interception by Brackett again, his second. But I'm going to tell you something. Someone ought to pay attention to this defense after tonight.
And remember, this team is not only built for speed, but the surface they play on in Indianapolis complements the speed aspect of them as a football team.
Well, you could forgive anybody for overlooking the Colts defense. It's not something that has been looked at very hard in the last few years and not found wanting.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it is, one man doesn't make the difference. Corey Simon did not make the difference in this defense, but he sure helps. He's a presence in there that they have to deal with. You can't just single block him.
Well, guys, look at this. The secondary. Donald Strickland's in his third year. Jason David in his second. Bob Sanders in his second. Mike Doss, who's suspended, is in his third. Nick Harper's in his fifth.
Right.
I mean, this is and then you got Marlon Jackson and Kelvin Hayden, two rookies from this year. This defense will continue to get better and better and better. They're extremely young. Dwight Freeney, fourth year. Brackett, third year. Larry Triplett, fourth year. Raheem Brock, fourth year.
But don't, you know, now you just take the reverse for a second and take a look at the offensive line when they got Peyton Manning. They had a young offensive line, Joe, that had to develop. And they said, well, it's going to take a little bit of time. Well, they did develop. Now you've got a young defense that's going to develop because they're going to get better and better and better. And when they're on their surface, look out.
I mean, this is definitely a football team that's on a mission. They've gotten close. They haven't gotten to the prize yet.
Sam's at the 12. Taken down just outside the 30. The votes are in for this week's Sunday stud.
Willie Parker.
And it is Willie Parker. He gets 38%, the Pittsburgh running back who came in when Jerome Bettis was hurt. Deuce Staley was hurt. So you go to your third string guy and he just explodes.
There you are. Tom Brady still gets no respect.
Willie,
well, I tell you, did you watch him Thursday night? Is he any good or
he
what?
Was good. And Willie Parker, he changed the entire complexion of Pittsburgh's offense. It is now an explosive running game.
He up to the 38.
Do you remember in this game, I mean, we're going to talk about their defense, the Colts. Do you remember in this game, one guy making a tackle? It always seems to be 2, 3, 4.
Great hustle.
It better be.
Man.
It better be when they sit and look at film.
Rally to the ball. Right, nearly picked off again, and that would have been a great catch if Moore could have come up with it.
Anthony Wright is now going to get an opportunity to be able to work in practice and get himself ready for the foreseeable future.
That shutout in '97 was against the Dolphins, 41-0 job. It would be remarkable for them, and what a boost for the confidence of that defense if they could pull off the shutout tonight. Although, shutout or no, they have certainly served notice that this is going to be a unit to be reckoned with.
With every show of success, the course makes its move to challenge the players. Talent will be the key to every win. ESPN presents Rolex Spirit of Golf.
And with that, you feel that? No.
How about this? What do you think? You feel that?
No. That's so cool.
Wild.
And now, more great moments on ESPN. The year was 2004. The San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Lakers were locked in an NBA Conference semifinal. Tim Duncan scores a clutch point, only to be outdone by Derek Fisher. A celebration of sports memories from around the globe. Great moments on ESPN.
Stuart Scott and Neil Everett standing by for SportsCenter, coming up with the wild week 1 in the National Football League. The big unit was huge today in Boomer's top 10 plays. Ravens trying to avoid the shutout. Pride is about the only thing left after the Colts have humbled them with a huge second half. Derek Mason, what a nice debut Mason has had tonight for the Ravens. That's 23 yards.
I think that Derek Mason is going to do exactly what the Ravens hoped he would do. He's going to give them a deep threat. He's going to give them a veteran who can make plays in key situations. The big thing is Clarence Moore is going to have to step up on the other side and be a guy who can make plays and not drop the ball at critical times.
Mason led all wideouts in the NFL last year with 96 catches. Tonight, 8 grabs, 99 yards. Right, look out from behind. A fumble, loose ball picked up by Raheem Brock.
Wait a minute, you see old Raheem throw the stiff arm?
How about the change of direction? He looked like edge running. Freeney knocks it out of his hand.
Well,
Dwight Freeney comes all the way around.
It was Mathis,
Rob Mathis that did it.
Yeah, Rob Mathis knocks the ball out. But Raheem Brock, I tell you what, when he picks this ball up, here he comes. Here comes Mathis around us. And look at that. He just ducked underneath.
Jonathan Ogden actually tried to get a left hand on him and didn't even touch him.
You know, most of the guys who were linemen, you go back to high school, some of them were fullbacks, some of them were even running backs, and every once in a while, they get that chance to show it off again.
Oh, man.
The speed that the Colts have in that defensive line is special.
Well, Freeney had 16 sacks last year. Mathis had 10.5. So they do have that rush ability with that speed up front. But when they add Corey Simon, they've done something.
And, you know, I mean,
I didn't know there was enough people here to boo.
I didn't either. Indianapolis led the NFL last year with a +19 turnover margin. They are +4 tonight. That's a great start for the Colts. It's a great start for the Colts just about every category you can think of.
Keep in mind, 45 sacks last year. One was by a defensive back. So you know that this defensive line has that ability. And then you spin forward and you think about what the Colts are going to face, with their schedule.
It's a wonderful start for the Colts. Got to be a bitter pill to swallow for the Baltimore Ravens. Here's what the Colts face in the next few weeks. And this is a pretty good schedule for them, you would have to think. Maybe not a really, well, the Jaguars could give them a problem. The Rams
beat them last year.
Right, the Rams, the only big-time team right now that they're going to face until November.
And they lost to the 49ers.
When they play the Patriots,
and
that's right.
What about the job that Mike Nolan has done? Congratulations to Mike Nolan and his San Francisco 49er team.
Great start for him.
Nobody gave a prayer against the Rams. And the Rams had a chance to actually get in position to tie that today. Came back from a big deficit and wound up losing at 25-28.
I'd give Tony Dungy an extension every week.
Yeah, I'd give him another 3 years after this one.
How about a rolling extension?
Exactly.
Every time you win, you get another one.
Well, the Ravens did a brilliant job in the first half. Manning is going back to throw. And overthrown.
Now, people would ask the question, why would the ball...
That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, Manning did basically what you're trying to do, keep the clock, or, continue to try and make plays. The Ravens called the timeout because one of the differentials when it comes to playoffs is points. And it's important. And so now if you get them to punt and you manage to get 7 points on the board, you don't know if you go head-to-head with somebody down the road, if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and all of a sudden those 7 points become the difference of whether or not you make it to the playoffs or not. I mean, people just don't roll over and stop.
Little pooch punt.
Oh, is he so good at that? Oh, he is just so good.
That's down to the 1. Great job by Rand Carthon. Next Monday night, ABC Sports, ESPN, and the National Football League will all join together to try to help the victims of Hurricane Katrina. A special NFL doubleheader starts at 7:30 Eastern when the Giants face the Saints. Joe, Paul, and I will be there to bring that to you from the Meadowlands at 9 Eastern. That game will move to ESPN, and ABC's Monday Night Football will bring you a great rivalry between the Cowboys and the Redskins. We hope you'll join our hurricane relief effort and give what you can next Monday, starting at 7:30 Eastern on ABC.
Big telethon.
Well, there's a penalty on the play, so they're going to have to kick it again.
With 1:19 left.
He might actually have to punt this one with the nose up.
First one we saw do that was Darren Bennett. It's off a nice spiral this time. Sam's driven back to the 8-yard line. Breaks a tackle, breaks another one. B.J. Sam still on his feet, out of bounds at the 38. 24-yard return. Well, they call them the triplets. Peyton Manning ends up throwing for 254 yards after a slow start. Couple of touchdowns. Edgerrin James, 88 yards rushing against a tremendous rush defense. And Marvin Harrison, 6 catches, 69 yards, and a score.
I find it interesting talking to Peyton Manning that last year when I asked him, you know, how many touchdown passes you want to throw, he had a specific number. He had 40 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 70%. This year, all he's focusing on is winning football games. Doesn't care about the touchdown pass. I still think he has to get in excess of 40 for this offense to be effective, because that's what they are.
Right again underneath. Dinkins gets it up across midfield. Darnell out of Pitt. Gain of 16. The clock continues to run down to 41 seconds in front of a virtually empty 71,000 seat stadium. Catch by Clarence Moore out of bounds to stop the clock. 23-yard gain.
You know, it's really funny when you ask about Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, you know, and why he threw that pass on a third down. When they came off the field, Peyton was talking to Marvin like, you know, you were supposed to move it. And they're still coaching and talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, it's the end of the game. We're up 24 points, but you're supposed to read this guy and move yourself back up the field. And if you were open, you know, you had a touchdown.
If I'm throwing it, you better catch it.
You just imagine those are two guys who talk about playing perfect games, even though nobody ever will. But that's what they're looking for.
I'll tell you what this Colt defense has done tonight. When the guys have caught those short passes, they've had defensive backs, linebackers, and corners just tattooing these guys.
It's a defense that will not give you big plays. I mean, it just won't. The thing that this defense that Tony Dungy has that he didn't have in Tampa is he has an offense to go with it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and people sort of knock this defense, but remember the playoff game against the Patriots. Peyton Manning did not
played very well.
Peyton Manning did not have a very good game.
Right.
I mean, Peyton was the one that threw some interceptions. It had nothing to do with the defense. So, you know, he's going to be fine. You know that Peyton Manning's going to be okay. And let's give the props where you know, this Colt defense isn't as bad as everybody perceived it to be.
How about old Eli today? They won big.
The Ravens have used their last timeout.
There's Peyton's numbers against the Pats. Way too many interceptions. Not that we're just talking about the Colts and the Patriots.
And over Mason, coverage by Harper. We're down to 20 seconds.
There's a guy that's done a great job tonight too, is Harper.
Hasn't he?
Oh, man, he's the guy that caused the first interception.
Anthony Wright coming off the bench, 18 out of 30, 197 yards. 30 passes, just over a quarter. Right. And in for the touchdown, Dan Wilcox.
Well, they still haven't shut anybody out.
No, but they got within 13 seconds of it.
Yeah, they did.
And the Ravens accomplished what they wanted to when they called the timeouts, when Peyton Manning wanted to kneel down and just run the clock out.
Wilcox has had a big night. 7 catches, 78 yards, or 8 catches, 78 yards.
Nice hands.
He's out of Appalachian State, 3rd-year tight end. I'd give him a great combination with he and Heap. If Heap comes back healthy, and here's a derisive cheer from the Ravens fans that are still left.
Both of them.
As they finally get on the board, exactly. Let's go to Susie.
Guys, the game was a tale of 2 halves. The first half was the battle of heavyweights. The Ravens with the big stuff on 4th and 1. That new look D, lots of motion. Chris McAllister, the near interception, but close just won't cut it against Peyton Manning. In the second half, he took off, hitting Marvin Harrison, spreading the ball around. Hey, his tight ends aren't here. Marcus Pollard left. Dallas Clark is out, but he hits young Ben Utek. And the Colts roll.
Boy, do they ever. And it's not going to be anything when you see that Peyton Manning threw for mid 250s, couple of touchdowns. That's not going to shake anybody else up. But when you see the yardage they gave up and the fact that they didn't give up a score until 13 seconds left to go in the game, people are going to go, uh-oh.
And you know that this offense is going to be aggressive. You know, Tom Moore has stressed for 7 years, now 8, to Peyton Manning, don't ever back off. And, you know, Peyton will study it, and he will not face another defense like Baltimore has tried to throw up against him. He'll be able to figure out a lot easier where people are.
Now they'll go for the onside kick. The Colts recover, and that ought to take care of it.
Marvin Harrison gets hit again. One more time. Gets whacked in the head one more time.
He's got to be thinking, can I get off the hands team, please?